There's a fascinating passage in the Talmud which describes an argument that broke out between two Talmudic sages, Rabbi Hanina and Rabbi Chia. Rabbi Hanina said that I am so brilliant that should the Torah ever be forgotten amongst the Jewish nation, with my hair-splitting analysis, I could recover the entire tradition and I could restore the Torah to the Jewish nation. Therefore, don't argue with me. Rabbi Chia responds, and Rabbi Chia says, you're going to argue with me? I took steps to ensure the Torah would never be forgotten from the Jewish nation. And then the Talmud tells the story. What did Rabbi Chia do which made great Talmudic sages like Rabbi Hanina, great educators like Rabbi Hanina, irrelevant to the survival of Torah in the Jewish nation? And here's what it says about Rabbi Chia. That Rabbi Chia went out and planted flax. And he harvested that flax. And he took the flax and he wove it personally into nets. And then he put out these nets and he caught deer. And he slaughtered the deer. And he took the skin of the deer and he stretched that and dried it into parchment. Meanwhile, he took the meat of the deer and he barbecued that meat and he fed it to 11 orphans. And then he took the parchment and he divided it into 11 pieces. And on the first 5 pieces, he wrote on each one of the 5 books of the Torah. And on the last 6, on each he wrote one of the 6 Sidarim of the Mishnah, the entire written Torah and the entire oral tradition. And then one by one, he took each one of these 11 orphans and he taught each orphan one piece of the Torah. This child, he taught the book of Genesis. This, the book of Exodus, all the way through the end of the Torah. And then he started with the orders of the Mishnah. This, he taught the Seder that has to do with agriculture, all the way through the end of the Mishnah. And each child mastered one small specific section of our Torah. And then he told the children, now, each one of you is responsible for teaching everything you know to all the other children. You teach the other 10, and I'll come back, and when I come back, I'll give you a test. And when he came back, all 11 children knew the entire Torah. It's a very interesting and strange story. There's many strange details about the story, but the most looming and obviously strange detail is, why did Rabbi Chia plant flax? There was no flax available in any of the stores. And why did he weave nets? You can't buy a net. And why was it that he then caught deers? You couldn't buy a deer or buy deer meat. And why did he make the parchment himself? And why was it so important that he taught personally, one-to-one, every single child? And why were they orphans? So an obvious explanation is that Rabbi Chia felt that whoever loves the child the most will be the finest educator of that child. Whoever loves the child the most will be the perfect parent for that child. And Rabbi Chia felt that parents can love their children better than anybody else on the planet. And so when a parent is present, there is no room for Rabbi Chia. And therefore Rabbi Chia approached only the orphans. And for those orphans, he became their parent. But why was it that he did everything himself? Why was that so important? So the answer seems to be that in every action that I take in raising my children, I infuse them with spirituality through my love for that child. And therefore, I have to be the one who cultivates the flax and weaves the nets. I have to do everything. I have to feed the children the deer, and I have to be the one who teaches the child. The entire responsibility, if I'm willing to accept it, for raising a brilliant next generation rests on my shoulders as the parent. And no one on planet Earth can raise your children as well as you. That's why you were sent here. There cannot be a Jewish future without a Jewish family. There cannot be a Jewish family without Jewish parents. And therefore, the primary challenge is the battle between we, the would-be parents of this generation, and all the voices that tell us that somebody else could do it better, that the job of parenting can be farmed out, that through tutors and babysitters, through child daycare, my children will grow up to be just fine, as if I did it. And it's a lie. And it's a terrible, terrible lie that we cannot give into. We have to have enough self-esteem and enough self-confidence to know that I'm the best parent on the planet for my kids. I'll leave you with a story and a plea. I recently was asked to consult with a school principal in New York, a man who I came to admire greatly during our 2-hour consultation. We spoke. And at the end of the 2 hours, he very proudly said, "I built the school from the ground up. Would you like to go for a walk with me and see the school?" And I said, "I would love to." And this great educator took me on a tour of the entire massive plant that he had built for these children, an elementary school, a high school. And he walked me through and he showed me the pool and he showed me the play area and he showed me the classrooms and the science labs. And as we were finishing the tour, we were walking down a hallway and he stopped in the hallway and he stopped in front of a place at the wall and he almost began to cry. And he obviously wanted to tell me, and I said, "What is this?" And he said, "When I built the school, I selected a contractor and I told the contractor I would like you to build the school for me according to the instructions of the builder, but I would beg of you, please, I don't want any foul language used anywhere in the building while the building is being constructed. Your workers cannot use any foul language." At which point the contractor laughed. And he said, "If you can't do the job, I'll find somebody else." And the contractor said, "I will do my best." And he said, "More than that, I want you to patrol the halls and make sure that everything that is done in the yeshivas, the schools being built, I want it to be done al-Tyrus HaKodesh. It should be in the most pure possible fashion. Not even a word of foul language in the building as it's being built." And the contractor said, "I will be on site and I'll do my best." The rabbi told me he was walking down that hallway as they were building the wall of that hallway. And he heard a worker, as he was putting a brick into the wall, curse. And the rabbi ran and he got the contractor and he told the contractor what had happened and he brought the contractor back and he said, "This is where it happened." And the contractor pulled aside the worker and said, "I'm sorry, but I have to let you go." And the rabbi said, "It's not good enough." And the rabbi pulled the brick out of the wall, put the mortar in again, and then he pushed the brick back in. He wanted every brick that went into that building to be built with purity and with love, because every brick matters. Every element of the entire parenting process matters. So I'll issue a plea, and I'll conclude with this plea to parents and to other educators. As parents, there is nothing that your children want more than your time. And there is no higher priority for the future than us giving them our time. We have to make this the number one priority in our lives, even if it means tremendous sacrifice for us, perhaps tremendous sacrifice financially, perhaps tremendous sacrifice professionally. But if there are no Rebbe Chias, if there are no parents, there will not be a next generation of Jews. And I will offer a plea to educators as well, and there are many in the room. It's not politically correct today to stand up and to say that when we aren't present for our children, for a variety of reasons, could be perhaps the most popular reason today, career, perhaps 50% of the mothers in South Africa, perhaps 50% are working full time. Perhaps we can't make it today on a single salary, perhaps. But in the 1950s, when the average per capita income was about a third of today's average corrected per capita income, a tiny fraction of mothers were out working. And today, with far more wealth at our fingertips, far fewer of us can actually stay home full time with our children. I would ask educators to echo this message, and even more important, the female educators who have a position and they're working and they're out there in public. I would ask them to stress, what I'm doing is not the ideal. That my first loyalty is to my children. And you should know my work is a hobby. And the moment that my children need me, I am back home again. Because we as educators, more than anybody else on the planet, have to stress the message. If we are not there for our children, we teachers will have no one to teach. Looking out at the crowd at the Sinai and Dab, I can tell you, we will have a next generation to teach, a spectacular generation, and we will be great parents. And this is the sign of a very bright and great future. Thank you.